So we did common size analysis, we did additional cash flow measures for valuation, and now we are moving on to next part, that is ratio analysis. So in ratio analysis, again, we wouldn't go through all that historic trend and comparative analysis discussions again. So you already know, we have discussed it many times, that whenever a ratio is calculated, that ratio has to be compared to some other ratios. So first you compare it with historic trend, then you also compare it with competitors and industry, and then you also compare it with management targets, and based on that you find out whether ratios are strong or not, and based on that you find out whether what will be the direction of the company or cash or other measures or other financials in future. So cash flow measure, so ratios with respect to cash flow statement can be divided or can be categorized into two broad categories: performance and coverage. Coverage would mostly relate to the ability of the company to meet its obligations, and performance will mostly be related to company's ability to generate cash using its assets or using its other resources. Key performance ratios include cash flow to revenue, cash return on assets, cash return on equity, cash income, and cash flow per share. So when in all of these ratios, the first word is cash. So by cash, we do not mean the cash on balance sheet or net cash flow. By cash here, we mean cash flow from operation. So here in all these ratios, generally numerator will be generally be cash flow from operations or cash flow left for common shareholders. Like in this case, we have cash flow per share. So when we are calculating cash flow per share, we will only take that cash which is left for common shareholders. So we will take cash flow from operation minus preferred dividend and then divided by number of common share. So cash flow to revenue would simply be CFO divided by net revenue. Cash return on asset would simply be CFO divided by average assets. So you take average, or sometimes some analysts would be taking average and some analysts would be taking last year's assets only, depending on the own judgment. Cash return on equity, again CFO divided by average equity. Cash to income, CFO divided by operating income. And cash flow per share is simply cash flow from operation minus preferred dividend divided by number of common shares. These all are performance ratios. Other category of ratios is coverage ratios that help measure the financial risk or help analyze the company's ability to make investment or ability to pay off its obligations. Key coverage ratios include debt coverage, interest coverage, reinvestment, debt payment, dividend payment, investment, and financing. In all of these ratios, key focus will be on, in denominator, we will take the requirement of cash or need of cash. So we will take an area where cash is needed or where cash is required, that is, or where cash is coming from. And then in numerator, we will take the cash that is being used for that purpose, to pay that off, to meet that requirement, to meet that need, or whatever. So for example, in debt coverage, we have some total debt and we have to pay off this debt. How will we pay off this debt? We will pay off this debt by generating cash from operation. So we take cash flow from operations to total debt ratio to analyze our ability to pay that. If this ratio is going up, that means company is in a position to take more debt, or company is in a better or stronger position, or solvency is improving. If it is going down, then that is a problem. Interest coverage. So for example, another key thing to look at is, let's say that you have a total debt with a maturity of 10 years. So your OCF should at least be 1/10 of total debt. If your OCF is even less than 10% of total debt, that means even in 10 years you will not be able to pay off this debt. So that will be a problem. So you need to match the total debt level or when obligation is coming due, and you need to match it with the annual cash flow, because this is the primary cash flow that you will need to pay off this debt in future. So that's how you will apply sense check on the numbers as well. Interest coverage. So when you are paying interest, interest comes in denominator. and coverage would mean how much cash is available to pay that interest. So how much cash is available? Again CFO plus interest plus tax paid. Why do we have interest and tax paid added? Because interest is paid from earnings before interest and tax. That means interest is paid from cash before interest and tax. So you have cash before interest and tax, then you pay interest, then you pay tax, and then you arrive at OCF. So that means this interest has to be paid from this cash, that is cash before interest and tax. So that's why you take in numerator, you take cash before interest and tax, that is OCF plus interest paid plus tax paid, and then you divide it by interest paid during the year. This is interest coverage with respect to cash. There is another interest coverage ratio as well, and that ratio is earnings before interest and tax divided by interest expense. This is also known as interest coverage ratio. So this ratio helps you analyze the coverage in terms of P&L, and this ratio helps you analyze coverage with respect to cash flows, or in terms of cash flows, whether cash is available to pay it off or not. This will tell you whether earnings are available or not, and this will tell you whether cash is available or not, and both the ratios are important. This ratio with respect to cash is more important because even if earnings are there but cash is not there, there is a problem. So this is more important. Then reinvestment. Reinvestment would mean investing into long-term assets. So you divide it by investment into long-term assets, that is capex, and you take cash flow from operations in numerator. This will tell you company's ability to invest in future, that is invest in growth or to make investments into long-term assets for growth or for recurring needs. Debt payment, that is cash flow from operations divided by cash paid for long-term debt repayment. It will tell you ability to repay long-term debt or ability to make the payment in current year or next year or year after that. So it wouldn't tell you overall ability to pay off all the debt, but it will tell you the ability to meet the current obligation, that is falling due within the year or falling due next year. To analyze the overall ability to pay off whole debt, you will look at debt coverage. Dividend payment, CFO divided by dividend payment. If this ratio is going up, that means company is in a better position to pay dividends or may increase dividends in future. If this ratio is going down, that means company may cut down dividends in future or might not be able to pay dividend without borrowing money. Investing and financing, that is CFO divided by cash flow for investing and financing activity. It again tells you about your ability to make investment and also the ability to pay off your liabilities or ability to return cash to the shareholders. So you take both the outflows for investment as well as financing, you add them and you divide them by cash flow from operations. So all these ratios would help you analyze whether you have enough cash available to meet your needs or to meet your requirements or to make expansion or to make investments or to pay off obligations or not. Again, how do you analyze these ratios? You will look at the historic trend and you will do the comparative analysis both. So this is the historic trend. So if I calculate OCF to revenue, cash return on asset, cash return on equity, cash to income, cash flow per share, this is the trend and for performance ratios, and these are the trend for coverage ratios. Now the question is that is company better position compared to historic trend or not? So if we look into it, overall OCF to revenue is consistent or stable, which means company has been able to consistently convert its revenues into cash. That means cash flow is coming from the core business activity, that is revenue. Cash return on assets so cash return on assets is almost also stable. It has just increased a bit, and increase is a positive sign. Why is it a positive sign? Because it tells us that we are making more cash than the investment required. So as we are making more cash or producing more cash than the investment required, that means we are in a position to expand our business or to increase our investment. So again, this is positive. Cash return on equity has increased, again positive, because that again shows that cash with respect to equity has increased, so there is more cash to be returned to equity holders. Cash to income should generally be about 100%, just a little more 100%. Why? Because this is operating in why just a little more about income due to non-cash expenses. Why? Because in net income or in operating income, you have subtracted non-cash charges. But when we talk about cash, we do not subtract the non-cash charges or non-cash expenses. So that means generally cash should be a lit, or operating cash should be a bit higher compared to income, until and unless there are significant working capital changes. So if we look into it overall, this also seems fine, although it has decreased, but overall it is above 100% still, so does not seem to be much of a problem. Cash flow per share has significantly increased. That means there is more cash available to be returned to equity shareholders. So equity shareholders now have more cash per share available. So company's value has clearly increased for those shareholders. So performance overall looks strong. Debt coverage increased, again positive sign. Interest coverage increased. Reinvestment, so everything, if you look into it, all the coverage ratios have increased except for debt payment or dividend payment, investing and financing activities. So overall all have increased except for debt payment and dividend payment. And the reason for this debt payment or dividend payment decrease is that you would have made a significant repayment in 2017 and a significant dividend payment in 2017. So again, this decline is not a problem. Why? Because this is due to repayment of debt. So you use your operating cash flow into a significant payment. This will not come in again next year or after that. So this is just a one-time decrease. It may again improve in future. But OCF as a percentage of dividend also decrease, and again that is one of the OCF as a percentage of dividend decrease, that shows that in future maybe company is not able to sustain the dividend payment levels that it is sustaining as of now. Why? Because it is already returning a major portion of OCF as dividend. So in future it might not be able to sustain this kind of dividend that it had maybe in this period, and in future dividends may decrease. So this is ratio analysis with respect to historic trend or historic analysis. Next is ratio analysis with respect to competitors. That is, you calculate ratios for competitors and industry average, and then you compare the subject company against all the industry averages and competitors. Again, you will answer the same questions that you answered in income statement and balance sheet analysis. That is company better position compared to historic trend and against competitors or not? And what are the reasons for differences in ratios against competitors and industry average? And is there room for improvement or risk for deterioration? So if a company is at a better position compared to competitors, there might be a risk that company may move to fall back to industry average. If company is not as good in a position as the overall industry, then there is a chance that company may improve in future. So if we look into it, generally company is consistent, company's ratios are consistent with industry averages without any significant variation or any significant difference. That means company is already operating in line with the industry or nearly in line with the industry, and there are no significant changes expected in near future due to industry dynamics. On coverage side, again a bit lower compared to industry average. Reinvestment is a bit lower compared to industry average, and dividend payment is high compared to industry average. So for this company, if we look into it, dividend payment ratio is very high compared to industry average. That means in company still has room to increase the dividend payment. So for previous company, there was no room, but for this company, there is room for increasing the dividend payments. Why? Because it is generating 215 times operating cash flow compared to dividend, while industry averages 117. So that means it is paying lower dividends compared to industry norms, and there is a chance that it may increase dividends in future. So again, historic analysis, comparative analysis, and then graphical illustrations of ratio analysis. I have only made graphs for one ratio. That was, I think, first one, OCF to revenue. That is for historic trend, for comparative analysis. You will need to do it for all the ratios. For all the ratios, you will need to make historic trend graphs and comparative analysis graphs to be able to analyze it, or to be able to look at the overall trend, that what is happening around. So this line is an average line. This helps you analyze whether the company is above average or below average, below historic average, and this will help you analyze whether company's ratio will increase or decrease. So from here it is expected to decrease, and from here it is expected to increase to maintain the mean reversion level. And similarly, comparative analysis will help you analyze what is the company's position compared to industry, and whether it is expected to decrease or increase over the long run.